Welcome, Mr. Roy Slack and Rory Bamford. Gowdy's Arena producing the show for us. Welcome, everyone. Rory, let's start with you. How are you doing? Your setup, you just add more things every time to the background.
Oh, yeah, and I got to grab my beer cup. Thank you for reminding me. It's going great. I wanted to talk about some Lenny's stats this week because there's this company, Cementation Americas, that was on an episode, and we're really Roy's probably heard of them, and the short form content that we're putting out right now it's going a little bit crazy. I got distracted by Jerrod's comments on here, so I got to jump down on here. It's over 5,800 views in 2 days, and the average percentage viewed on this highlight, which is 4 minutes, is actually 66%. So just a monster piece of content.
Well, thank you, Lenny, for the update. Rory, I've been actually meaning to, and thank you for reminding me, Rory, because I keep forgetting. People from your team, I don't get anybody in trouble, they say that in the U.S. is cementation and cementation. That people just say it interchangeably, including on your own team. Is that true? Is that your answer?
Yes.
Just depends on how people want to use the E.
Are you aware that's strange?
It has not stressed me out at all, to be quite honest. And you know what? I may even do it from time to time. So
I've heard you use both. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Because I get quite stressed out about saying people's names. So I was like, okay, so I went and can you just tell me for the final time?
Technically, the name is based on the cementatious process.
Right.
So cement, which is what today we call grouting.
Right.
But in the early 1900s, Francois Albert invented the cementation process and then started a company to do that for mining companies. So the cement is the original basis for it, but people pronounce it, as long as we get paid.
That exactly. It is funny though. So technically,
I had a quick question for you.
Would be the root correct, but
cementation is right. Yeah,
it's cement.
Yeah, cement. Roy, I had a quick question. I was going to ask you it last week, but then we got rolling and I completely forgot. Because with all the topsy-turvy going on in the markets, you mentioned once on a show that you would buy one mining company a year. And the rest you're doing you'll do GICs and that. The one thing I wanted to clarify is you're not buying and selling. You'll just buy a company for a year. You don't have a set hold time, right? So you could have multiple mining companies. It's just that you pick one new one a year.
Yeah. And you know what? It's kind of organic the way it works, because if I think about a couple of the stocks that I bought, the companies have been bought out.
Oh, okay.
So I don't even have to make a sell decision.
They just take them over.
Yeah, they just take them over, and I've actually been very lucky over the years. So
that's really interesting. So you actually follow, in a way, in a sense, that Buffett mentality, like I have.
And
20 punches.
We all have a bet here for when Rory brings up Warren Buffett. I think won this one.
Oh, goodness. Who won it?
Gowdy today.
That's right.
Yeah, this is exciting.
I should have a bell for every time that happens.
But anyway, I was gonna say, he uses a punch card system, so you guys are hilarious.
Fortran.
But so you're kind of following that model, but with mining, you're not overextending yourself. You're comfortable doing one a year, and then
because the reason I'm in mining is really the basis for my investment is knowing the executive team, knowing the board.
Yeah,
and knowing that they're people that associate with good properties and good companies. So that's why I'm in mining, because I know the people.
A follow-up on that too, Roy. Do you look at things like a company say, and I'm not sure if you've gotten into if they're all operational or if some of them are more like the junior level or mid-tier level, but will you look at what the board and executives are doing as well? Okay, are Are they currently buying up shares in their own company? Things like that.
Rory,
But-
You know what?
before he answers, could we let Mr. Slack kick off the beer?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a good question, so I want to hear it, but I want to get. I'm thirsty. That's really what's happening.
Yeah.
So this is, I'm trying to see the label on it here.
That's hard to. Yeah, it's hard to find.
It's hard to see, eh? Anyway, it's a Steamworks Hazy Pale Ale. Apparently, we've reviewed this 4 times already, but I don't recall trying it. So,
It's not on
so
set, Roy, if you don't admit it.
Mean.
and this is from Vancouver. That's Steamworks out of Gastown.
And thank you, Petro-Canada Lubricants, for the awesome beer mug.
That is
Yeah,
funny.
very nice.
There we go.
Oh, oh, nice. It does work. So we are drinking.
Steamworks.
Steamworks.
Gastown, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Go. So you're saying what I'm saying now?
Yeah.
I think I remember drinking there at one point in my life.
Absolutely.
I-
Absolutely.
I
Just
grew-
once? Just
I,
once?
I grew up 2 weeks ago, though.
That's debatable.
It's 2 weeks, Roy. It's 2 weeks.
Let's talk about our heavy industry world tour brought to you by Savona Equipment. Find, market, and sell surplus and used equipment. And Corporate Traveler Canada, helping companies travel the globe simpler, faster, easier. We are heading to events across North America and Australia and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsmen.com to be part of Crownsmen's Heavy Industry World Tour. Join us in the depths of the mining world, where global leaders and industry giants converge to shape the future of mining. From groundbreaking technologies, advanced machinery, revolutionary safety measures, to sustainable initiatives. This is the voice of mining. This is Mining Now. Showcase your company to millions worldwide. Book your episode now. Visit crownsmen.com.
So,
So where were we? Is it time for another Buffett quote?
Rory, what were you asking? It's going to be a
Yeah, I was
interesting one.
asking Roy, so like you can go find like insider trading, like if a company's like, so Alibaba.
So, yeah, what I do, Rory, there's 2 things. Is I look at the senior executive management. I look at the board. I like a near operating company.
Oh,
So what I mean by that, they may not be in production, but they are developing with a production date predicted, as opposed to a junior that's in exploration and hoping to raise money.
nice.
So it's a less, that's just my risk profile. I look for the less risky ones. I've been lucky on them. All the ones I've gone into have gone well, and and I'm on the board of Torex now, and so I invested in that company because I was impressed with the executive and the board, present company excluded, and the company is doing very well. So
you can look at a property, they're in construction, basically. They're going to be they might have like a 2-year build or something, and you know that they're going to start putting out a certain amount of, basically they're going to start producing a certain amount of that mineral, and then from there.
And one of the things you look at, Rory, is let's say it's a $800 million capital project.
Yeah.
And they are partway into it or partway through it. I mean, you look at schedule and things like that, but you also look to see if they're fully funded.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the worst things is if a project starts to go over budget and the company doesn't have the funds in place, they've got to go back to the market, and they're in a really desperate position. They're not going to get a good funding deal,
and then they're halfway.
and that can burn up a couple of years of profit.
And then you got their equipment sitting there, and then Savona Equipment steps in and sells it for them.
Yes, sir.
It's happened.
Shout out Savona Equipment again.
Oh, I've been on the sites helping the equipment out. Yeah.
No, that's a good point, because then everybody knows they're in a squeeze. They know they're in a desperate situation. They're like, well, we'll give you 10%. They're like, yeah, give us 18 and give us a share of the production. And then you're just in a massive hole.
Yeah.
Well, what happens is when you begin to look at the when operations begin, and you've got your P&L statement and your profit line, but then you've got a big interest line.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the interest is eating up, half of your profit for the first couple of years. So being well funded, whether it's internal, so if it's an operating company, it has other mines operating, then it has a source of cash flow. But if it's a single asset company, you really have to look at how that project is funded to make sure if they go over by 10, 15, even 20%, they're not going to be, in a vulnerable position.
I got just a quick question, Rory. How, if you were, people like to talk about the good old days, 20 years ago, wasn't making an age joke. Well, that's not what I was doing, Rory. 20 years ago if you were looking at one a year, would there be 10 companies as opposed to like 3 now? How many companies do you get to really choose from that even fall within that criteria?
There's lots.
Is there?
And yeah, like to give you an example, when we started Cementation or Cementation in 1998, sorry, I couldn't resist that. In '98, and when we did the business plan, as I mentioned before, we picked the 5 biggest projects to go after. But when we looked at the market, there were 20 or 30 projects going on. There were lots of things happening. I don't think, I might be wrong there, but from a contracting perspective, the numbers and the opportunities, in terms of advanced projects, haven't changed a lot. What has changed is the size, no doubt about that, the dollar value of those projects. So
larger now.
Lots of consolidation that's happened probably too with like the big players as well. I would imagine like they get into a lot of these. They can take on.
Yeah, more and more in mining. If you're looking at developing a new mine, it's got to be either pretty significant tonnage or a spectacular grade, one or the other. So most new properties are looking for tonnage, and the more tons per day, the larger the facility and the bigger the project. So
back when I was first investing, I bought into Preetnam, and this would have actually been during their construction phase. But that was one of the times when I was like still trying to figure out, okay, how was I going to do like these? Like, was I going to invest long term? What was my philosophy behind it? Yeah. So of course I sold it for like a little bit of a profit, but then you look at it like that's one of those things like hold it for 5 years, it got bought, you would have made just huge cash. But that's where you've had like probably success, because like these ones in construction that go into production, then they get bought by a big player. Yeah. It seems like the big players are sitting there waiting, because I just looked up Rio Tinto. Yeah. They made $11 billion last year. So they sit there and wait.
Yeah. There's some different things at play there, because, the way the industry works is the juniors are the exploration groups.
Yeah.
And even though a large company will have an exploration division, for them to look at, to let the junior industry play out and to kind of cherry pick the best. And for juniors, it's how much money can you get to advance the project as far as possible so the buyout price is higher.
Oh.
Right? And then sometimes they get stuck because they can't raise the funds to advance the project. And maybe they get bought out at a lower price. It's, there's some gamesmanship involved for sure.
It's quite interesting if you ever get a chance to have like a beer with these guys that are doing the junior mines. It's wild. It's wild. Like, you have to have a certain type of personality to do it.
Did you know cementitious binders can be responsible for up to 70% of the total GHG footprint of mine backfilling processes? Now you can replace up to 50% of the binder in your mine backfill operations with Graybond, Graymond's new low-carbon cementitious binder. This lime-based alternative binder maintains a 40 to 70% lower GHG footprint compared to typical cement and can adapt to varying mine conditions without compromising performance. Learn more about Graybond at graybond.com. Attention builders, we've got everything you need to know about the grit and grind of the construction world in one show. The Construction Show is where you can share your expert techniques and strategies to help keep the crew strong and construction sites secure. From foundational tips, industry trends, safety strategies to advanced equipment and machinery. Be part of the voice of construction. Book your episode and showcase your company to millions worldwide. Visit crownsmen.com.
Yeah, an announcement I was going to make, doing a little bit of a pivot, was we're actually starting to do a partnership now we've got a whole bunch of partnerships happening. We've got the West Coast Business Show, but we're looking at expanding episodes of the Crownsmen Show to add in more episodes of like innovation and onboarding, electrification. We're partnering up with Wire to do a building energy series featuring women engineers from all over the world. So that's that's my little mini announcement for the day of just all these partnerships. So here's the plug. If anybody wants to partner with us, we're great to work with. And that leads me into my topic.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Smooth, or I should say smooth.
I've been playing this all
I'm
week.
afraid.
Talking about negotiating. Last week, I think Roy gave me about 5 looks. Like, what are you saying? I didn't say anything. I will say, actually, I'll leave it for another week. The book, I think, Roy, you're still reading it too. Getting to Yes by Robert Fisher and William Ury, I think, is how you say his last name. I was reading a quote or part of the book. It says, another surefire driver of strong negative emotion is a perceived threat to identity, one's self-image or self-respect. I have approached so many negotiations with the thought of, I will adapt based on someone's personality, but I've very seldom adapted based on their perceived, what they perceive their personality to be. For example, someone who's quite aggressive, quite often they will perceive themselves as very reasonable. And so you're like, okay, they're aggressive, so I'm going to match their energy. But they're looking for someone reasonable. And I was thinking, even for myself, of how many times I've got into situations with people where I'm not perceiving how they perceive themselves. And all of a sudden, you're actually threatening. And if you think of somebody like, let's say, someone who thinks of themselves as strong, and you make them feel weak, or someone who thinks of themselves as reasonable, and you make them feel like they're being hard on the negotiations, you're threatening a core value they have. Even if they don't live up to that value, that's a pretty core value that you're actually threatening for them. So I thought that right away. I've got some other thoughts on it, but I just want both your initial thoughts on that. I see Roy's making notes. Yeah,
I'm a note maker. So yes, and I did see your note there in the outline on leadership styles. I do read the outline.
Oh,
and I did see the note on leadership styles, and we talked before about preparing for negotiating, but knowing what you're getting into, like if you come in cold and are trying to determine what the other side of the table is like while you're in a negotiation, you're probably already a step behind. But like you say, Jerrod, if you've got a feel for, that individual, then you can adapt to it. What I usually do, and I'll give you an example. I won't name the project, but the executive or the project director I was dealing with, he had a totally opposite management style to me. And it was very clear. And I had people warn me about him. And what we did is we just found some common ground. Forget about how he treated his people versus how I did. Forget about how he reported up and those different things. But he wanted to see performance. And I agreed with him. And so together we said, how are we going to drive performance on this project? And, with the team came up with some things he was happy with, and we were happy to do them. But I think that whole concept of common ground is, is really important. How you relate to people, and it can even be hobbies. Like if someone likes craft beer and I like craft beer, you've just found something that you have in common that you can work with.
But someone like that, you're saying, so he's sort of this kind of goal-oriented, like he wants these results.
Yeah.
Right. So now there's other people, though, that aren't. They want, they are more relationship-oriented.
Yeah.
But if you go in and you have someone that's relationship-oriented and you're just talking to them all about results, oh, I have done that. Here's the numbers. Here's what we're going to do. This is going to be great. Let's book a time next week. We'll get it finalized, and good talk. Thank you. And you just see the look on their face like, okay, yeah, that's good. But then some people are like that. They don't want all the fluff. I remember interviewing a guy, I think he was European, and I started making a couple of my stupid jokes, and he just...
Not you, Jerrod.
No, I know. Not as bad as some of the ones you make, but they were boring. And
mine aren't that good, but they're intelligent.
Okay.
Oh,
Wait a second.
No. Ouch.
So, Roy, I perceive myself as very intelligent, so that is threatening my perceived identity.
I need to take another note here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and Jerrod, I perceive myself as young.
Oh, no.
Hey, we have that in common.
Oh, I think, and that's the end of that.
I think
Where were you, Jerrod?
I think I got my ass kicked on that one. But yeah. So then I realized, like, this guy he's not into, like, lighthearted humor. And then I just started, like, firing questions at him. And I still think about that interview. Like, it brought out a whole different side of him, because then he just opened up, because it was like, it was detailed and making like how he would make pivots in the company. And he had there was a larger company that owned them. So how that sort of tied together, and he just wanted to go for it, go. Yeah. And you just realize, like, I was actually throwing him off by just not sort of meeting him where he was at.
Yeah.
Rory, I'm sure you have some thoughts on it. You're in these rooms a lot of the times as well. So.
Yeah, it's interesting thinking about, like, doing a couple interviews with, I don't know if I'll mention the name yet, but the episodes will be coming out. But you go for, like, the one episode is more on, like, if they're construction focused episodes, but you've got a one-on-one episode interview, and before the interview, there's, like, the person's going to be, like, more jovial, like, but you can tell it still, like, serious about, like, what he's going to be talking about. And so the interview you have to conduct it a certain way. And then you go into a completely opposite, where you've got two people in technology, and they are literally making jokes and then going, hey, can we keep that in, to the person watching? And she's going, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So you can have a whole bunch of fun, because you know that there's going to be stuff just getting chopped. Like, I was actually watching the intro, and so I know what parts are edited. The editing team doing a fantastic job as always. You can't tell, but there's multiple intros, because when I was getting into it and they're making comments, they're having too much fun. Not too much fun. They're enjoying themselves so much. They're just going off the cuff. So you kind of have to you have to learn to, like, you still have to get the information out, but you have to let them have a good time while they're explaining. Sometimes it can be pretty dry topics if it's like technology, and it can be, you have to let the audience, like, learn what it actually is that they're providing. And
then there's the other people that are, like, you have to lead them. Like, they are not going to, they're this would go into that other type. There's, like, the supporter, the task-oriented, stabilizing, cautious. They are not going to insert anything additional into the conversation. They look to you. You're the interviewer. Ask me the questions. I will answer, and then I will wait for your next question. And you have to. They say, when you have them say, you're the interviewer, you know what you're doing. Yeah. You know, okay, I'm gonna have to
to figure out the follow-up questions.
Yeah,
I did an episode with like Ian with Flex Matt down at Egg One though, and he was just like, you can tell he just has so much information. Completely, he's more of the what would that be? Type A type. I'm trying to see which one that would be.
The thinker,
with the different personality types.
oriented, logical, prepared.
Probably, but he's got everything. He's so dialed in with everything around the company.
Mm-hmm.
Our prep was like, I wrote down 4 questions. We could have talked for hours.
Yeah,
because he knows so much. He knows so much detail. Yeah,
and then I've had these long outlines, and it's like, oh, that's a 2-sentence answer. And those interviews are also good. Like people they're very efficient with their talk. This is a completely random thing, but talking about, have you ever got lumped in with somebody that you're like, oh, you just made us a little team here, and I wasn't prepared for that. We were down the U.S. filming, and there was another Canadian there, big Albertan boy, ex-hockey player, funny guy. He kind of said what he thought. And we're sitting there with all the Americans, and this is during all these like tariffs are going on, all this stuff is going on.
Oh, this is a recent event, Jerrod.
Yeah, it's very recent. And he's like,
okay.
And he starts talking about Canada, that the U.S. and Canada have only fought once, that we won, we burnt their White House. I'm like, okay. And but now him and I are sitting beside each other. And I'm so it's like these two big guys, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there like, okay. Wait,
did he know you were Canadian?
Oh yeah. No.
Oh, great.
We were a little team. We were a little
great
Canada down there bragging.
Team Canada.
Team Canada. Yeah, going in strong.
About burning down the White House. That'll probably get hit on YouTube now.
Oh yeah. We're done already. Yeah,
he's the big defenseman, Jerrod, and you're the finesse forward.
Exactly.
It's exactly
what it was.
So
yeah.
Roy, playing hockey, so Jerrod had a shot. Like he had a shot. Now, mind you, he probably could have. And we won't get into.
But I was so dumb, I'd shoot on the wrong net sometimes, Roy.
That is not true. But man,
I've heard that happens.
As a winger, because you played center, right, Jerrod?
I played,
but it's just funny. Jerrod was like, in a way, like that finesse, like when he was like dialed in, the finesse side of it was amazing.
Yeah.
Now the problem was you can't finesse in the penalty box. That is the issue. That is the issue.
You actually set me up because I was like, this is actually quite nice. Why are you saying this? And I was getting a little uncomfortable.
I think there's some, when you watch the NHL, there's some guys that I think practice being in the penalty box because they know the camera's going to be on them. They flip the hair back, smirk on their face. It almost seems rehearsed, but
I bet you half of them are the non-married guys. They're like, I'm on camera right now. They're like, getting pretty.
A big smile, a couple gaps in the teeth, the whole, I'm a fighter.
Well, it goes back to personality. I would just get so mad playing hockey. I'd just get so frustrated, and I would just need to hit someone. So I'd just go, oh, and I just hit him, tweet.
It's a nice spear in the ribs.
I grew up 2 weeks ago, though, so it's good to go. Hey, Rory, what are you? What's that?
Oh, no, I'd let you go into the next topic. I forgot you were 2 weeks growing up. That's great.
Yeah, I was actually going to make a comment on your topic, Jerrod, is that, we talked about preparation for negotiations and things like that, but just listening, knowing that people approach things different ways, and we all talk to our guests before we do a show. And that's a chance to really gauge, what they want to talk about, what they don't want to talk about, but also the type of, if you want to say personality, and like you said, Rory, there's, I remember a couple guys I interviewed and they just wanted to do a comedy show, and trying to follow the outline but having a lot of fun doing it. And they didn't care, what if you're marketing,
But in fairness to them, Roy, you do, and this is not made up, this is true, you literally come to CIM with a cooler of beer in your hand. So that it sort of gets people in a different mindset.
Yeah, that might influence the interview. It has no effect on this show, though.
No. And those breakfast beers that you hand out for those interviews really helps people get in the mood.
I love the end of day interviews at the events when the guy shows up. His face, and yes, it is always a guy, his face is just beet red. You know, I'm like, oh man, you were last night. You've probably already a few in today. And he's just kind of like, and he's still smiling though, like he's still excited to the interview. You're like,
Yeah, because he's looking forward to that, the hair of the dog.
Rory, what are you focused on today? This is going to go off the rails if we don't corral it somewhere.
Was that the senior Roy or the junior Rory?
Mr. Bamford.
Oh, it was Mr. Oh, okay. More topics for me. Okay, so great segue. I was sure he said Roy, so I was like, what's Roy's talk? Yeah.
Rory started checking his emails.
Tick tock, running out of time.
The Gowdy. I'm just preparing everybody for.
I thought you were going to reveal what's in the barrel, Rory. This show.
No, I wasn't ready. I haven't been drinking early enough.
Yeah,
I haven't been drinking early enough. How's everybody doing with the ongoing Trump tariff battle? Because yesterday was a record high, third biggest gain ever in the stock market yesterday. So that was great news. Today, most of those gains have been erased. So I'm just wondering, like, how is everybody holding on? Is everybody feverishly checking their portfolios like every few minutes? Because I know for me, at this point, I'm just laughing because I don't think anybody has any idea what's coming. Like the 90-day pause, people are like, yay, 90 days, except that there's still a massive trade war between the U.S. and China, and they're basically just one-upping each other now. Jerrod and I were talking about this like the other day as well. At this point, it kind of seems like when you talk about like personalities, it kind of seems like two kids in the sandbox fighting over the same Tonka truck. Because It's just, to me, as an investor, I kind of just ignore it at this point because I don't really see. The problem is when you talk to the businesses that are in like the U.S. or in Canada, now they're just like there's just mass confusion. So it can't have anything. It can't really have any good impacts on the economy overall. I see nothing good with that.
Just before we get into that, I thought there's something interesting though with Trump is that like Danielle Smith tried to do the whole, and I think everybody piled in because for the last 8 years, everybody's been saying like if you compliment him, he'll do what you want. That was sort of the theme. And so then everybody just was like, went and like kissed his feet.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand.
That worked well.
Like, and it's like, okay, he's not dumb. He knows that everybody's been bad mouthing him for 8 years. And now everybody for a month talking trucks.
Well played.
Oh, boy.
Jerrod, keep going with your thought. It's important to finish.
And it's like I have the same thoughts everybody else. I'm like, what is happening? Why are you doing this? But at some point, people need to stop with the he's dumb thing. It's just to everybody's detriment. Now they just overcorrected the other way, that everyone went to kiss his ass. And then he's still doing what he wants to do. Like, he doesn't care what you think. Like, he's got this sort of agenda. The other thing is it seems insane, but at the same time, I started watching politics around, I guess when Bush was running against Al Gore, I kind of started to pay attention a little bit. They all stand up. They've all said the exact same thing over and over. And then as soon as somebody does something different, now everybody loses their mind.
And when you say everybody, it's the media typically was what?
Yeah.
Like
but people,
fires.
People's feedback and that.
Well, it's actually affecting like what's going on, it's just like a record drop. Like now people are not traveling to the U.S. Like border crossings down 40, 43, 45%.
Yeah.
Just hammered.
But Jerrod, there's a leadership lesson, that I've always thought about is your people ask the me questions. So whenever you change something, it's the me questions. So we change our approach in our company. How does it affect me? And when you look at the protests happening across the U.S., they're not about the trade war. They're about cuts in Social Security, Medicaid, how veterans have been treated. Those are the me questions, right? So when people talk about their investments, I mean, anyone that knows the stock market knows that, what happens in 3 days, like, Rory, you always say it's a medium to long term. It's only the ETFs and the high trade investors that play that game. And I'm sure some people have made, there's reports about people making lots of money from this game that's going on right now.
Yeah.
But for most of the population, it's what's going to happen to Medicaid, what's going to happen to Social Security, our food prices going up. Those are the real issues that the population is, because they're me questions.
I think the one thing too is like now in seeing, because obviously like with what was going on when like those couple days, everything's down 10%. When I say everything, I mean just like the main indexes. So S&P and I guess NASDAQ and that.
Gold's doing good.
Gold's doing good. Gold is doing great. But the interesting part, like to me, what it really seems like in a way is they want a recession because they have all these. The U.S. government obviously borrows and borrows and borrows, and they have from a quarter. What are we at today? It's red, Roy. That's red.
See the one green one?
Gold. I'm just.
Torex.
I can't. Oh, Tor.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
That's why I'm smiling.
But I do think in a weird way, I think this whole thing, that all these shenanigans, in a weird way, I think it's the attempt. Now that I've seen it going on for like the first few months of the presidency, you've got debt that has to be renewed at from 0.25% to over 4%. And I think that is actually what's driving some of this mayhem, because I think they're like, man, we're going to get like the government is going to be spending all this money on interest, and they are desperate to try and drive that down. And how do you do that? I mean, obviously, if people are freezing up on their spending, all of a sudden you get into more recession territory.
Yeah.
And this is a recession territory on the cost of living, where your dollar is lost 50% of its value in 5 years. So that's just my opinion. If I was making a prediction, which you can't, but if I was, to me, all that debt that has to be refinanced, it seems like they won't lower the interest rates anymore, and it seems like it's really causing.
I think he thought
strife.
they were going to. I think he thought they were going to pressure that Powell to lower the interest rate, and he came out and basically not see this. Okay, this is actually exact the way that he handled it. I think is how people need to start dealing with Trump. Is this idea that you're going to kiss his ass, or you're going to be a tough guy? You just saw it in Ontario. Doug Ford, who I like Doug Ford. He's very smart, very shrewd, but he went out stomping around trying to be a tough guy. With you're being a tough guy. It's like me trying to be a tough guy with Roy Jones. Like, sure, you can try. You might even be tough, but you're going to get beat. He's just too big, and that is a reality when you clash economies. And I thought that Powell, or the other verse, you're going down there and you're trying to like woo him. Like, you're not going to woo Trump. He's sitting on a.
But the thing, Jerrod, I won't say the thing that bothers me, but let's say boggles my mind is the U.S. is upset about trade deficits.
Uh-huh.
Now, you look at Canada with 40 million people, you look at the U.S. with 350 million.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to buy more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the consumer base is 350 million people. Of course, the U.S. is going to buy more.
And it's
So
all seeing
when you
it
compare the two countries, there's going to be
and everyone wants to sell. And everyone wants to sell to them because they're mighty greenback. So everybody wants to sell.
But we will never, you know, there will always be a trade deficit just based on that. And then you look at countries where the labor costs are far less than the U.S. You know, based on what you're getting paid, you can't afford products that are being made in the U.S. Like a trade deficit just makes sense, but people make it sound like you know, they're getting cheated or whatever. But
and is it actually even affecting? Like, is it really even like if I'm just throwing out random numbers just because of the population base. If the U.S. buys 300 million from Canada and Canada buys 60 million back, like it's still products going back and forth. Like, are they literally saying because they want more, like basically more duties and tariffs? Like that part of it doesn't.
Well, that is part. It is just a revenue generator as well, right? But the other thing is the energy is where that's where most of the deficit lies, which is going over to their plants, which they're
refining and making money off
and making money off it.
Yeah.
But that's sort of what I mean, though. That's not a conversation that's going to change his mind. And I'm saying what I thought that Powell did very well. And it's almost hard because it's almost like you're being like un-Canadian, or you're not, or you're being a pushover, and this is including people in America that have tried it with him, or you're being a kiss. Any of these things I keep mentioning. Powell didn't come out. He didn't insult him. He didn't bow down to him. He just stated what he was going to do. He just made statements.
He said that tariffs are probably going to keep inflation higher.
Yep.
Inflation in March is 2.4%. So it's it's in that range, but that's like with everything going on, it's actually probably has dropped a bit, which if it kept dropping, then there'd be justification to drop rates. But
and it worked. Then there was a pause for 90 days. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff going on, but I'm just saying, I think this whole chasing the negotiation with him, I think people just need to stop doing it. It's not working. They've tried it every which way, and it's just sort of getting.
And I think after our April election, I think that'll probably die down too. I think the like in Canada especially, I think it'll probably die down after that as well, because right now it's a big political thing. So
I just watched a press conference, and I got to thinking about when we did our staff meetings, our quarterly staff meeting 6 times a year. And we would provide information to our employees. If we ever did a staff meeting, like we did one of those, White House briefings, all our employees would leave like the next day. It's just incredible how they, we talk about how important communication is. But anyway.
It is
fascinating. I'm not very political.
Yeah, no, we've only been being political for the last 20 minutes. No big deal.
It hasn't been 20. It's going to only be like 15. That was a terrible.
Oh, Jerrod, you've been political for the last 18, and Rory and I have been for the last 2.
Oh. When he brought up the tariffs, I was just responding.
I was just trying to solve the tariff issue, which I think we have, of course. We've
taken care of that. First, it was
the capital gains was us. That was us. That was incredible. Yeah. The episode hadn't come out yet.
Yeah, and then now tariffs. Tariffs will be completely removed after this, so it's
we clean that up.
Solid. Yeah.
Well,
I guess beer. It's almost beer review time, so that'll be interesting.
Rory, I'll say what honestly, I didn't even think about this beer while I was listening to you guys and just drinking it.
There it was gone.
It's okay. Sure.
Roy's got a really good topic, and we need to get into it because it's important for the viewers at home.
Okay, Roy, your turn.
Roy?
The excitement is overwhelming, but I will continue.
I still have a little bit of beer left, too.
Yeah, but I had a Buffett quote for Rory.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, that's why I got excited.
Yeah, so let me say, and it's very applicable to this show, okay? Older and wiser voices can help you find the right path if you're willing to listen.
Oh.
Said by Warren Buffett when he was 87 years old. I feel like that's a little
No.
bias.
That was Jimmy Buffett.
Oh.
That's not Warren Buffett.
Oh, I didn't even look. I don't look at the thing.
Oh, did you just pull a fast one on us, Roy? Oh, I think he did.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
anyway, I couldn't resist that either. But, we talk about advice. I guess the best advice I can give on this show is for anyone listening to not take the advice on this show too seriously. You can figure that one out. But after saying that, my topic today was networking.
Yeah, this is a good one.
And I give talks at a lot of schools, and when I talk to students, I talk about the importance of networking and some of the different ways, I guess, hints or tips on how you can do it. And I'll just go through a few of them very quickly for our audience.
Yeah, could you do it quite quickly, please? Thank you.
Yeah. How much time do I have there, Taskmaster?
We've got like an hour, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This will only take 57 minutes. So.
Enough time for the review. Thanks, everybody. Keep watching.
But I do tell this to the students, and if you're attending a webinar or an online webinar and you like what you hear, send a note to the organizer or to the presenter. That simple contact, whether it's LinkedIn or however. Usually presenters will give contact information. Attend conferences, but plan them. If you want to meet certain people. And one thing, if you're marketing, it's not just about meeting potential clients. If you're at a conference, catch up with your existing clients and say hi. Even if you don't have a scheduled meeting, because somebody else will be meeting them, trying to get your business. So, you can be conspicuous in your absence. I'll tell a story about when we opened the cementation office in Quebec, and we invited the different mine managers and people from Quebec operations. And I go into the room, and there's about 60 people in there, and all of our people are at one table. Like zero networking, And so I talked to people. I said, you guys have to be.
Your whole team went to the same table.
The whole team, or, they all know each other. We'll have a drink. We'll be together. And and Kat, Matsu, some other groups are very smart at what they do. When they have events, they have a rep at each table.
Mm-hmm.
And whether the tables are assigned or not, when you sit down, there's a rep there. You meet them. Maybe they hand out a card, they just say hello, whatever. But take the opportunity when you go to a place to meet new people. Don't just sit with all of your, your coworkers.
Roy, I want to use this opportunity to do a shout out to another amazing event we had for donuts and coffee, because we before we were running all these shows, we were trying to get people into the studio to rent studio space. Now we have nothing to rent because it's all different shows.
Yeah.
But anyway, the reason it came up, Jerrod, is because it was like one of those hidden pages on the website.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow Google showed it to me. I'm like, come on. Anyway, but Roy, I love your point about like the planning out the conferences. Anyway,
I am stupid.
What?
I am stupid.
No, you and I. This is you and I. This is a joint effort on that one again.
I just don't want to be rude to you. I'm just speaking for myself.
Yeah. No, it's good.
I hope you realize, Jerrod. When I say this advice is advice for our viewers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's really for you and Rory that I'm giving this advice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we'll go to your next topic. Webinars I have no comment on because it's competition technically. I'm basically joking, but
join industry associations. I tell people that I'm a active member of CIM. I'm involved in SME. I mean, great opportunity to network in your industry. Get involved. Keep in touch with your graduating class. Especially if you're in something like mining, and you have a technical degree, all these people that are out there,
I don't know what Rory's
keep in touch with
laughing
them.
at. I was just gonna say,
I couldn't hold a straight face because when you said graduating class, I'm like, ooh.
so Rory, a lot of people, I was the smartest person in my graduating class.
According to you?
No, it was actually a fact. It was quite the crew.
we had some
serious?
crews on the graduation side. Anyway, but
Okay, so that advice isn't for you guys.
okay.
That's for the audience.
Sorry, it broke me on that one.
Rory and I just had like 10 idiots splash in front of our head.
The other thing I'll mention, okay, because we've talked about communications before, and I'm a big fan of Toastmasters. And Toastmasters is really, it's not about public speaking. It's about leadership. It's about communications. Lots of companies have clubs, corporate clubs, but in every city you go to, there's a club. You will meet lots of people. You will, it's a great means of personal development for a very important part of leadership. So that's my Toastmasters plug.
Nice.
Anyway, that's my topic in 3 minutes and whatever seconds.
That was not bad. The only thing I was thinking of is, Rory, the donuts and coffee thing. We were giving away donuts and coffee and still nobody showed up.
I know. Like,
But 2 booths over, they're giving free beer.
Yeah. No,
Go figure.
That's
this is
true.
a local thing to show off our studio.
It kind of hurts.
We must
You
have
try.
the best personality.
Yeah.
It's the
Did you approach the same people you gave the gift baskets
No.
to, or
No, we didn't.
We found a
bring that
whole new crew.
a whole new group? Oh, okay.
whole new group of 0 people.
Could have had an invite in the gift basket.
You see, that's the missing link.
There is a missing link, that's for sure.
Everybody, please keep watching Mining Now and the Construction Show. But you can skip past this one.
Sometimes I see footage and I'm just sitting there staring at someone talking who's actually smart, and I just see my like stupid face nodding. I'm like, I can't watch this. I cannot watch this anymore.
I do want to get your feedback. So I realize I'm catching myself doing it all the time. Live feedback is great. In the interviews, I'm trying not to say like okay or right. You can nod, but I'm really trying to stop that because you realize like the professionals, they don't do that. They'll nod to the guest, but they don't say anything. They like,
People will find that the worst thing is to watch yourself on video, because you begin to see those pause fillers,
Mm-hmm.
like when you talk and you slow down, and then, after your next point, I don't know if you know anyone that does that, but I know some people that do that, and I'm being a little facetious there, but
A little.
we all have those pause fillers we do, and they're pretty standard words that we don't even know we're saying.
until you see it
You
on the
start to
screen.
watch yourself and you say, I didn't know I was saying,
Okay.
no.
All right. Yeah, it is.
And
though.
Jerrod, I'll just add one thing. If you watch Norm Macdonald, and I don't know if he ever did it on purpose or not, but in his younger days, he would say, about 10 times in 1 minute.
That was on purpose. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure he was.
that's got to be on
Was on
purpose, but it's really noticeable when you watch for it.
Oh, by the way, big news. Kill Tony
Yes.
made it onto Netflix.
Great show.
After Rory endorsed it on the show, I've been watching more. Rory, I do not think we should endorse that show.
It's got some sketchy moments.
It's got some sketchy moments that I don't support. I want to just go on record and say that. Everybody should watch it so that they can find out why I'm right on that.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Netflix version, Roy?
No, but Netflix, my grandkids can put on Netflix.
I would keep that in mind when they're putting on Netflix.
I will be watching their account.
I saw Roy's face just change. He turned it to... Okay. Yeah, no, don't let them watch that. I will strongly.
No.
This beer, I didn't even think about it. It really, I didn't find it much of anything. I just found it just sort of like, if you gave it to me, I'd drink it. If I never drank it again, I'd be fine.
Very bitter. Very bitter. I don't know if it's supposed to be better. It's a very bitter beer.
Rory, what did you think? Had you had this before?
I haven't had this beer before. For a hazy pale ale, it's pretty typical. It didn't. I'm looking at my socks are still on. I'm looking down at my feet, but it's a pretty typical pale. So Rory, what you said, yeah, it's got a lot of fruit, and then there's some malt in it too, and then there's the bitter. It is balanced, but it's not. Like I say, it's pretty standard. For me, it would be like a 13 or a 14. It's not out of the ballpark.
Oh, it is. Oh, Gowdy, you were mentioning it is brewed in Burnaby. It's the Williams Tree.
Yeah, it's their brewery. The breweries.
Oh, so that's what
their main brewery. Yeah,
yeah.
They do some brew pub brews at the actual restaurant.
Because aren't they in Granville?
Their main production is Burnaby. Yeah,
aren't they in Granville as well? Gowdy?
That's Granville Island Brewery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a different one. You're thinking.
That's a different one.
Oh, here comes the jokes again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a rough day. Okay, so you gave it a third. Well, is it a 13 or a 14, Roy? You kind of got to pick.
Yeah, I would say 13. I might change my mind later.
Yikes.
12.
Well,
Maybe 12.
say goodbye to them as a sponsor. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, they are not going to be happy, but they probably have some other really good ones.
It is. It's kind of though. It is. It's not...
Having some craft beer in St. Louis, I was like, damn, that is how you make craft beer.
Yeah, but their beer is weak. Americans, their beer is weak.
Is that true? Like when it says 4.6 or 5%, is it different than our 4.6 or 5%?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Fine.
Because that's what I drank, 4.65. I'm like, this is delicious.
I had one in Cleveland, Elliot Ness Amber Lager, which is always interesting because Elliot Ness was in Chicago, right? He was head of the Prohibition, and he chased down Al Capone. But after he did that, he moved to Cleveland, and he actually ran for the mayor of Cleveland at one point. But I found that beer too strong. It was bitter. But at the same time, Devin and I went to Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I didn't even know that was in Ohio.
Oh, that's Cleveland, big time. Yep, That's where it is.
Oh.
Yeah, he said that was almost as much fun as when you took him to the comedy show
in Denver. So
there you go.
That was a wild show. We went with Gus Miner, who helps host the show from Sophie.
Yep.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. I feel like I was kind of the punching bag for this episode, so that was fun. Thank you.
Not just this one, Jerrod. Don't be so hard on yourself.
My memory, I don't really remember the last one, so fine. Rory, any closing words? Any last thoughts? Thank you for bringing back Lenny.
Lenny is going to evolve. Let's try and get Lenny involved. Are we filming next week? I think so.
As far as I know.
Oh, will we have a before and after of Lenny?
Absolutely. We will. Yeah, we will.
We're getting funnier.
Thank you.
We're definitely getting funnier. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please subscribe. Rory, what were we at for? Just curious. How many views were we at? I think 15 million or something.
Yeah, something like that. No,
or something.
Yeah, 15 million.
Yeah, it was over 14 and a half. So it's probably 15 million now on the channel.
Yeah. See, someone likes us. Someone thinks we're smart, Roy.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's all of the cranky old men drinking beer subscribers.
Ding.
Thank you, and see you on the next episode of the Crownsmen.
Just wanted to support your show.
Last laugh here, Roy.